Welcome to Nocturnal Knowledge. Today, we're exploring Think Faster, Talk Smarter by Matt Abrams. Settle in as we journey through the complete text. If you enjoy this exploration, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into the world's most influential books. Our journey begins now.
Understanding speaking anxiety, the ABCs. So we've begun to explore the core ideas of think faster, talk smarter, and now we're diving into something many of us can relate to, speaking anxiety. The author introduces a helpful framework to understand its various facets, the ABCs. This isn't about eliminating anxiety entirely. A little anxiety can be motivating, but about managing it so it doesn't control you. Let's unpack this. First, there are affective symptoms, those related to our mood. Think feelings of stress, pressure, vulnerability, overwhelm, even fright. The author describes feeling these intense emotions himself during a particularly unexpected job interview. The CEO, known for his pressure-testing interview style, asked him, "If you were an onion and I peeled back the first 3 layers, what would I find?" That's the kind of unexpected query that can trigger these affective symptoms. Remember, acknowledging these feelings is crucial. They are a normal response to high-stakes situations. Instead of fighting them, we learn to observe them with a degree of mindful detachment. There's the feeling, and then there's you. Next, we have the behavioral and physiological symptoms. These are the physical manifestations of anxiety. Think sweaty palms, trembling limbs, a racing heart, a shaky voice, shallow breathing, rapid speech, flushing, and a dry mouth. The author likens the experience to that weird moment when you try crossing your arms the opposite way. Your mind is momentarily disconnected from your body. These symptoms happen because your fight or flight response is activated, releasing adrenaline. Finally, there are the cognitive symptoms. These impact our minds. We might feel flustered, experience a mental blank, forget what we want to say, or fixate on the audience's judgment instead of focusing on our message. Negative self-talk creeps in. "I'm not prepared. I'm going to fail. Everyone else is better than me." We even might fill the silence with annoying filler words like and like. So how do we manage these ABCs? The book lays out several practical techniques. For affective symptoms, mindfulness helps. Notice the negative feelings without judgment, acknowledging them as normal reactions. Reframing anxiety as excitement is another powerful tool. Physiologically, deep breathing, exhaling twice as long as you inhale, calms your nervous system and slows your speech. Slowing down your movements also helps synchronize your speech and actions. To combat sweating and blushing, try holding something cold. For that dreaded dry mouth, try sipping water or chewing gum before the situation. To tame the negative self-talk, use positive mantras. Repeat phrases like, "I have value to add," or "I've handled tough spots before." If you blank out, repeat what was just said to buy yourself time and get back on track. A generic question to the audience can also help regain composure and refocus. Finally, to combat filler words, synchronize your speech with your breathing, ensuring you exhale completely at the end of each phrase or sentence, making it physically impossible to insert while inhaling. The book advocates for creating a personalized anxiety management plan, an app, a selection of these techniques tailored to your specific needs and anxieties. This app isn't a one-time fix, but an evolving strategy you refine through practice and reflection. The key is to experiment, find what works for you, and build a system to help you perform at your best, even in the face of pressure. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress and the courage to try in the first place.
Practical anxiety management techniques. Now that we understand the ABCs of speaking anxiety, let's explore practical techniques to manage it. Remember Irma, the librarian who limited her life due to a past speaking debacle? We can prevent similar self-imposed limitations by proactively addressing anxiety. The key is a two-pronged approach: managing immediate symptoms and addressing underlying sources. This chapter focuses on the immediate symptoms. First, let's address the affective symptoms, how you feel. Mindfulness is key. Professor S. Christian Wheeler says, "There's me, and then there's this anxious feeling that is going on in my body." That amount of psychological distance allows you to observe it without becoming attached to it. Acknowledge your nervousness, but don't let it define you. Tell yourself, "I'm nervous because this is high stakes. This reaction makes sense." Then reframe that anxiety as excitement. Professor Alison Wood Brooks' research shows that stating, "I am excited" out loud before speaking improves performance, turning a threat into an opportunity. Next, tackle the behavioral and physiological symptoms. Deep breathing is powerful. Andrew Huberman emphasizes the importance of exhalation, making it twice as long as inhalation. Count to 3 inhaling, 6 exhaling. This reduces carbon dioxide and calms your nervous system. If deep breathing alone isn't enough to slow your rapid speech, slow your movements, hand gestures, head nods, and so on. We often synchronize speech and gestures. Slowing one slows the other. Movement also helps dissipate adrenaline's effects, counteracting shakiness. Cool down your body by holding something cold, like a water bottle. Finally, combat dry mouth by sipping water or chewing gum, best done beforehand. Now for the cognitive symptoms, those pesky negative thoughts. Combat negative self-talk with positive mantras like, "I have value to add," or "I've got this." If you blank out, rewind. Repeat what was just said to buy yourself time and refocus. Don't worry about repetition, it emphasizes your points. Or ask generic questions like, "How might you apply this to your work?" This buys time and engages the audience. Before a speaking situation, rationalize your fears. What's the worst that could happen? It's probably not as bad as you think. People are often more focused on themselves. Finally, let's address those filler words like and Remember, you can only speak while exhaling. Time your sentences to end on an exhalation, creating a natural pause that prevents filler words. Practice this by talking through everyday actions, focusing on landing each phrase without breath left. To make these techniques stick, create a personalized anxiety management plan, or AMP. Choose 3 to 5 techniques that address your specific anxieties and create a memorable acronym to recall them. Test your AMP in real-life situations, refine it, and celebrate your progress. Remember, managing anxiety frees you to be authentic, bold, and playful, making you a more compelling communicator. You can speak up without freaking out.
Creating a personalized anxiety management plan, or AMP. So we've explored a range of practical anxiety management techniques. Now, let's build on that foundation and create something truly personalized, your anxiety management plan, or AMP. Think of your AMP as your own personal toolkit, a set of strategies you can deploy to manage those pre-speech jitters effectively. The first step is identifying your most effective techniques. Remember the ABCs of speaking anxiety: affective, how you feel; behavioral, what your body does; and cognitive, what you think. We discussed techniques to address each, such as mindfulness to manage negative feelings, deep breathing to slow your heart rate, and positive self-talk to combat those inner critics. Review those techniques and identify 3 to 5 that resonate most strongly with you, the ones you feel most comfortable using and believe will have the greatest impact. Next, create an easily memorable acronym for your chosen techniques. This makes recalling and utilizing your AMP much simpler in the heat of the moment. For example, you might choose BOOM, be present-oriented, observe your movements, oxygenate, mantra; or ARC, acknowledge that anxiety is normal, rationalize, cool yourself down. The key is to find an acronym that's personal and meaningful to you. Finally, and critically, test and refine your AMP. This isn't a one-time creation, it's an ongoing experiment. Use your AMP in real-life situations, before your next meeting, presentation, or even a casual conversation where you feel a twinge of anxiety. Afterward, reflect on what worked and what didn't. Did certain techniques prove more helpful than others? Were there times your acronym failed you? Did the techniques even help you to feel more energized? Based on your experience, adjust your AMP, tweaking techniques or even swapping them out altogether. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, but to find the combination of techniques that best helps you think faster and talk smarter. This iterative process will lead you to a truly personalized plan, one that empowers you to confidently navigate any impromptu speaking opportunity. It's about creating the support you need to succeed, so that when you're put on the spot, you can confidently step up, not step back.
The limitations of perfectionism. We've just explored how to create a personalized anxiety management plan, a crucial first step in conquering the fear of spontaneous speaking. But even with anxiety under control, another significant hurdle remains: perfectionism. The pursuit of flawless communication, while seemingly desirable, often backfires spectacularly. It's a trap that can paralyze even the most articulate individuals. The book introduces cognitive load theory, which explains our brain's limited capacity for processing information simultaneously. When the pressure's on, we rely on heuristics, mental shortcuts, to navigate complex situations efficiently. These heuristics, while helpful in many contexts, can stifle spontaneity. Think about it. When faced with a sudden question, your brain might default to a pre-programmed response, missing the opportunity to engage authentically with the situation. It's like relying on a well-worn path instead of exploring a new landscape. This is perfectly illustrated by the shout the wrong name game. Imagine yourself walking around, pointing at objects, and deliberately shouting the wrong name. It sounds easy, yet most people find it incredibly difficult. Why? Because our brains crave order and predictability. Forcing ourselves to break this pattern increases our cognitive load, highlighting the limitations of our mental processing. We unconsciously start to develop strategies, categorizing our responses to reduce the mental burden, sacrificing true spontaneity in the process. The book emphasizes that this struggle highlights a key to successful spontaneous communication: maximizing mediocrity. This isn't about settling for less, it's about releasing the pressure to be perfect. Striving for perfection increases our cognitive load, preventing us from fully engaging with our audience and adapting to the nuances of the moment.
It's a paradox. By accepting imperfection, we open ourselves up to far more effective and compelling communication. The author shares a personal anecdote about teaching where a disruptive student provided the perfect opportunity to break from his typical teaching heuristics. Instead of resorting to a pre-programmed response, he spontaneously acted in a way that was unexpected and surprising, ultimately diffusing the situation with humor and creating a stronger connection with the students. This exemplifies the power of suspending our usual mental shortcuts and embracing a more flexible and creative approach. Furthermore, the relentless self-criticism many of us engage in further exacerbates the problem. We judge our every word, our every gesture, applying the standards of a polished TED Talk to our everyday conversations. The author notes that TED Talks are heavily scripted and rehearsed. They're not spontaneous. We're setting ourselves up for failure by applying unattainable standards. The book encourages a shift in perspective. It advocates for seeing mistakes not as failures, but as missed takes, similar to how film crews shoot multiple takes of a scene. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to learn and improve, paving the way to more confident and engaging communication. It's about the process of growth and learning rather than the outcome. The ability to adapt, to respond authentically and in the moment is more vital than a flawless delivery. By quieting the inner critic, we free up our cognitive resources to focus on true connection. In essence, we get out of our own way.
So, we've just explored the limitations of perfectionism in spontaneous speaking. The truth is, striving for flawless communication often backfires, creating more anxiety and hindering authentic expression. Instead of aiming for perfection, which is simply unattainable in the unpredictable world of impromptu speaking, we need to adopt a new approach. This involves strategically hacking our heuristics, shifting our mindsets, and fundamentally changing how we view our interactions. First, let's tackle those ingrained mental shortcuts, our heuristics. We often rely on these automatic responses in stressful situations, but they stifle spontaneity. Remember the shout the wrong name game? It highlighted how our brains instinctively seek patterns, limiting our ability to be truly creative and present. To overcome this, we need to consciously interrupt our habitual thought processes. Become aware of when you're using heuristics, often triggered by stress, tiredness, or time constraints, and deliberately choose a different path. Think of it as hacking your own brain, breaking free from pre-programmed responses. Consider changing your routine, exploring new environments, or seeking inspiration from unrelated fields to spark innovative thinking. This is not about abandoning heuristics entirely, but about developing the awareness and flexibility to use them strategically, only when truly helpful. Next, we need a significant mindset shift. Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindsets is crucial here. A fixed mindset sees abilities as static, leading to fear of failure and avoidance of challenges. A growth mindset, however, embraces challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement. This shift is vital for overcoming perfectionism. Instead of fearing mistakes, view them as missed takes, like in filmmaking, valuable learning opportunities. Frame each interaction not as a performance under the spotlight, but as a conversation, a chance for connection and collaboration. This means shifting our language to become more inclusive, asking more questions, and embracing imperfection. Remember the yes and principle of improv? It's about building on others' contributions rather than criticizing or rejecting them. This openness creates space for authentic engagement and creative responses. Finally,
Cultivate a next play mindset, borrowed from sports. Don't dwell on past successes or failures. Focus on the current interaction and the opportunity it presents. By actively managing our heuristics, embracing a growth mindset, reframing interactions, and focusing on the next play, we can unlock our full potential as spontaneous communicators. We can break free from the constraints of perfectionism, allowing our genuine personalities and ideas to shine through. It's about trusting our preparation, taking risks, and enjoying the process. Because ultimately, good enough is great in the unpredictable realm of spontaneous speaking.
Shifting from fixed to growth mindset. We've just explored strategies for overcoming perfectionism, a common hurdle for many of us. But even with our perfectionism tamed, another significant obstacle to spontaneous speaking remains: our mindset. Many of us operate with a fixed mindset, believing our communication abilities are inherently fixed. Either we're naturally gifted or we're not. This belief, as Carol Dweck highlights in her work, can be incredibly limiting. It leads to avoidance of challenging situations and a reluctance to embrace feedback, hindering our growth as communicators. Instead, the author champions a growth mindset, viewing our skills as malleable and improvable. This shift is crucial. It's about embracing the idea that "not yet" is a powerful attitude. We're not yet masterful spontaneous speakers, but with dedication and practice, we can become more confident and capable. It's a journey, not a destination. This is underscored by the author's own experience. His alphabetical last name consistently landed him first in classroom callouts, forcing him to develop his improvisational skills early on. This growth mindset extends beyond mere skill development. It involves focusing on the effort we put in rather than solely on the results. Did you prepare an AMP, an anxiety management plan, as discussed in the previous chapter? That's a significant step, regardless of whether you've had a chance to fully test it yet. Celebrating these efforts, these incremental victories along the way, reinforces the power of the journey metaphor. Think of your improvement as climbing a mountain. Each step, each challenge overcome brings you closer to the summit, even if you don't reach it immediately. Further emphasizing the journey, the book suggests using journey metaphors to visualize goals. Instead of seeing success as a single point to be reached, we see it as a process, an adventure. This framing shifts our perception, reducing the pressure to be perfect immediately and allowing us to value the process of learning and growing. The "not yet" attitude, combined with a focus on the journey, fosters persistence and resilience, essential components in mastering the art of spontaneous speaking. It encourages us to view setbacks not as failures, but as valuable learning experiences, mistakes along the way, just as a filmmaker might shoot multiple takes to find the best version of a scene. This reframing takes the sting out of mistakes and transforms them into opportunities for growth. By shifting from a fixed to growth mindset, we open ourselves to the possibilities inherent in spontaneous communication. We welcome challenges, view feedback as an opportunity for improvement, and see setbacks as stepping stones on our path toward becoming more confident and effective communicators. We're not just aiming for perfection, we're embracing the journey, celebrating the effort, and understanding that true mastery comes with time, practice, and a willingness to embrace the "not yet."
Focusing on the audience, not yourself. So we've explored the power of shifting from a fixed to a growth mindset, embracing the potential for continuous improvement. Now, let's build on that foundation by focusing on a crucial element of effective communication, centering our attention on the audience, not ourselves. This shift in perspective is transformative. It's about moving beyond the anxiety of self-evaluation and truly connecting with those we're addressing. Think about it. When we're consumed by our own nerves, our focus narrows. We're hyper-aware of our own performance. Our palms sweat, our mouth dries, and our thoughts become a jumbled mess. We lose sight of the real purpose: to engage our audience and convey a meaningful message. Remember Michael Bay at CES? He stumbled, apologized, and retreated, consumed by his own anxieties, missing the opportunity to connect with the audience. The book emphasizes an audience-centric approach. This isn't about sacrificing our authenticity, but rather about understanding their needs, their perspectives, and what resonates most deeply with them. This necessitates deep listening, truly hearing what's being said, not just waiting for our turn to speak. We must gauge their level of understanding and the context within which they're hearing our message. Are they already familiar with the subject? What are their preconceived notions? What are their expectations? Instead of focusing solely on getting it right and judging ourselves on that pursuit, the book suggests embracing the inner diva. This isn't about arrogance, but rather a recognition of the importance of understanding what we need to perform at our best and having the confidence to ask for it. This might mean arranging for better lighting, seeking some quiet time to collect our thoughts, or asking the audience to turn off their devices to minimize distractions. These are not selfish acts. These are steps to ensure we're communicating at our best. They're all in service of creating a more positive audience experience. Ultimately, truly focusing on our audience allows us to become more than just speakers. We become collaborators. Each interaction becomes a shared journey, a fluid exchange of ideas, where our own ideas and experiences intersect with those of our audience. This is the key to making our spontaneous communication engaging and meaningful, not just for ourselves, but most importantly, for those we are hoping to connect with. This leads to more dynamic interactions and better overall results. It's about creating a meaningful and perhaps even enjoyable connection. Adopting a yes and approach. We've just seen how focusing on the audience, not ourselves, can dramatically reduce the pressure we feel when speaking spontaneously. Building on that, let's explore another powerful technique: embracing a yes and approach. This principle, borrowed from improvisational comedy, is transformative for spontaneous communication. The core of yes and is about seeking alignment. Instead of immediately rejecting or criticizing an idea, no but, we start by affirming what's been said, even if it seems off-kilter or unexpected. We say yes, acknowledging the other person's contribution, and then we add our own thought, building on their idea. This isn't about agreement, it's about acknowledging their contribution as a starting point for collaboration. Think of it like building a house. You start with the foundation, even if it's a little crooked, and then you add the walls and the roof and so on. You don't tear down the foundation just because it's slightly imperfect. You work with it. This yes and approach directly addresses judgment, both our own and others. When we're constantly judging what's being said, we shut down the flow of ideas and block ourselves from truly engaging. By saying yes, we create space for creativity. We open ourselves up to unexpected possibilities and new directions. The goal isn't perfection, but rather creating something together. Remember Irma, the librarian who avoided impromptu speaking for decades because of a single negative experience? Her story highlights how judgment, both self-imposed and external, can severely limit our willingness to communicate. A yes and mindset allows us to move past those limiting judgments. Instead of letting a past failure define us, we can see each spontaneous communication as a new opportunity for growth, a chance to learn and improve. We can even start to view those challenging moments as exciting rather than terrifying.
Imagine you're in a meeting and a colleague suggests an idea that seems initially flawed. Instead of dismissing it outright, try a yes and response. Yes, that's an interesting approach, and perhaps we could combine it with... This invites collaboration, shows respect for your colleague's contribution, and opens up space for a more creative and productive outcome. The yes and principle isn't just about words. It's a mindset. It's about approaching every spontaneous interaction with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to collaborate. It's about reducing judgment and embracing the unexpected. It's about seeing every interaction as a potential opportunity for connection and growth rather than a potential threat. And as you practice this approach, you'll find yourself not only communicating more effectively, but also enjoying the process much more. It frees you up to be more authentic, more creative, and ultimately, a more compelling communicator.
The next play mindset. So we've just explored the power of adopting a yes and approach to communication, a mindset that embraces collaboration and openness. Building on that, let's delve into the equally crucial concept of cultivating a next play mindset. This isn't just about moving on from past failures, though that's a significant part of it. It's a fundamental shift in how we approach all spontaneous interactions, regardless of whether our previous attempt was a resounding success or a complete flop. The book highlights the crippling effect of dwelling on past successes or failures. Remember Irma, the librarian whose high school experience left her avoiding impromptu speaking for decades? Her past failure created a self-fulfilling prophecy of anxiety, hindering her ability to participate and share her ideas. This is where the new choice game comes in. Imagine yourself in a scene. Suddenly, someone shouts, "New choice." You immediately drop the current scenario and start afresh, embracing whatever new idea or line of thought emerges. This practice helps us detach from the weight of past experiences, good or bad, and focus solely on the present moment. The essence of the next play mindset is about embracing spontaneity and agility. It's like a jazz musician improvising. They don't simply play random notes. They improvise within a structured framework, building upon what came before. Similarly, while we shouldn't abandon all planning, we need to be flexible enough to adjust our approach based on the immediate context and our audience's responses. Coach K's famous next play philosophy in basketball perfectly encapsulates this. Whether you made a brilliant shot or missed completely, the only thing that matters is your focus on the next opportunity. This isn't about ignoring past lessons learned, but about refusing to let them dictate our present actions. It's about letting go of the need for perfection, a concept explored earlier. The book argues that striving for flawless communication often leads to precisely the opposite: a freeze-up, a loss of spontaneity, and a disconnection from our audience. Instead, we should see each interaction as a fresh start, a new opportunity to connect authentically. Each attempt is simply another take in the ongoing film of our lives. Mistakes are valuable learning experiences. They are not failures, but missed takes, opportunities to improve and refine our approach for the next time. By embracing this next play mindset, we're not only better equipped to handle setbacks, but also better able to capitalize on unexpected opportunities for connection and growth, truly freeing ourselves to think faster and talk smarter.
Obstacles to effective listening. Having just explored the next play mindset, we now turn our attention to another crucial element: effective listening. But before we can truly listen, we must first understand the obstacles that often stand in our way. These obstacles are multifaceted, encompassing physical, physiological, and psychological noise. First, let's consider physical noise. This is the most readily apparent type of interference, the literal sounds and distractions that prevent us from focusing on what's being said. Think of a bustling cafe, a noisy office, or even a persistent cough from someone in the room. These external disturbances directly impede our ability to process the speaker's message clearly, blurring the words and obscuring the meaning. It's like trying to read a book in a windstorm. The words are there, but understanding them is a significant challenge. Beyond physical noise lies physiological noise. This refers to internal factors within our own bodies that can disrupt our concentration. Fatigue, hunger, and importantly, anxiety all fall under this category. When we're tired, hungry, or stressed, our minds wander and our capacity for focused attention diminishes significantly. The experience is like trying to focus on a complex math problem when your stomach is rumbling loudly. The hunger pangs become the dominant signal, effectively drowning out the mathematical equations. Anxiety, in particular, can be a powerful impediment. The racing heart, sweating palms, and racing thoughts create a whirlwind of internal distractions that make listening practically impossible. And finally, and perhaps most insidiously, we have psychological noise. This encompasses the internal mental processes that interfere with our ability to truly listen. Our biases, preconceived notions, and judgments can cloud our perception, leading us to hear only what we want to hear, or to filter out information that challenges our existing beliefs. Furthermore, when we're not actively listening, our minds often begin rehearsing our next response, preventing us from fully absorbing the speaker's message. It's like having a conversation with someone while simultaneously composing a reply in your head before they've even finished speaking. The focus on composing the reply overshadows the present interaction. Understanding these three types of noise, physical, physiological, and psychological, is the first step towards overcoming them. By recognizing these obstacles, we can begin to actively mitigate their effects and unlock our potential for truly effective listening. Only then can we truly engage in spontaneous communication, responding thoughtfully and authentically in any situation.
Techniques for active listening. Having just explored the common obstacles that hinder effective listening, we now turn our attention to the crucial techniques that will empower you to listen actively. Remember, truly effective communication isn't just about speaking, it's about understanding. And understanding begins with truly hearing what others are saying, both explicitly and implicitly. First, let's focus on slowing your pace. In the rush of daily life, we often race through conversations, barely registering the nuances of what others are saying. Deborah Schifrin, a former NPR journalist, employs what she calls the killer last question. As an interview concludes, she'll ask if she missed anything, and then, crucially, she waits. This pause allows her interviewee to reflect and often unearth the most insightful information they might not have shared earlier. This deliberate slowing demonstrates respect and invites deeper engagement. It applies equally well in everyday interactions.
Take deep breaths, put away your phone, and make a conscious choice to be present. Next, we must create space for reflection. This goes beyond simply hearing words. It's about truly comprehending their meaning and impact. This involves two key strategies: clarifying questions and paraphrasing. Clarifying questions such as, "What makes you believe this?" or "How does this help?" allow you to gain a deeper understanding of the speaker's perspective. They also buy you time to process the information and formulate your response. Think of them as opportunities to explore the speaker's reasoning, not as interruptions. Paraphrasing, on the other hand, involves summarizing the essence of what you've heard in your own words. It demonstrates active listening, ensures understanding, and allows you to process the information before responding, building bridges between ideas. Finally, let's discuss the importance of showing grace. This applies both to how we listen to others and to how we listen to ourselves. As David Bradford and Carol Robin highlight, we engage in two simultaneous dialogues, one with the other person or persons, and one with ourselves. Ignoring our own internal voice can hinder our ability to connect authentically. Showing grace involves acknowledging our own feelings and judgments without letting them overwhelm our responses. It also means allowing ourselves the freedom to adjust our responses as we process new information and emotions. It's about acknowledging that we're all human and that perfection is not the goal in spontaneous communication. Instead, embrace imperfections as opportunities for learning and growth, remembering that even seemingly small actions, like a heartfelt apology, can have a profound positive impact. Remember the story of John and his grand-mère's eulogy. His unexpected loss of his notes didn't derail him because he trusted his own intuition and the emotions of the moment. By consciously employing these three techniques, slowing your pace, making space for reflection, and showing grace, you'll transform your active listening skills, opening yourself up to richer interactions and becoming a more empathetic and effective communicator.
The importance of structure. We've just explored the power of active listening, a crucial first step in effective communication. Now let's delve into another critical element: structure. Active listening helps us understand what others are saying, but structure ensures our own message is clear, memorable, and impactful, especially when we're speaking spontaneously. Think of it as the architecture of your thoughts, the framework that supports your ideas and guides your audience through them. Too often, people mistake a simple list of points for structure. A list is just a collection of items. It lacks the narrative flow that truly engages an audience. Structure, on the other hand, creates a compelling story, leading your listener from a beginning through a meaningful middle and to a satisfying conclusion. This book outlines several powerful narrative structures to help you think faster and talk smarter. One common structure is ABABCB, familiar from countless songs. Think of a verse, A, a chorus, B, another verse, A, the chorus again, B, a bridge, C, and finally the chorus once more, B, to close. This provides a clear, predictable rhythm, making the song enjoyable and memorable even when the lyrics themselves are spontaneous and unique. Another effective structure is ABDCE, often found in storytelling. You present an action, A, then provide backstory, B, building tension, D, until a climactic moment, C, followed by a resolution, E. This approach helps to create a logical flow,
making the overall narrative easy to follow. In the legal world, the IRAC method is paramount: issue, I; rule, R; application, A; conclusion, C. This structure helps lawyers organize their arguments in a way that is logical and persuasive. Similarly, the problem-solution-benefit structure is invaluable for sales pitches and presentations. Identify a problem, offer your solution, and highlight the resulting benefits, a clear and persuasive sequence. Finally, consider the me, we, thee, we, me structure, often used in sermons. This structure helps to connect with the audience on a personal level, moving from individual experience, me, to a shared understanding, we, a higher power, thee, collective action, we, and back to individual reflection, me, creating a powerful and resonant arc. These aren't rigid formulas, but flexible frameworks. They allow for spontaneity and creativity while ensuring your message remains clear and engaging. You'll not only communicate more effectively, but also feel more confident and in control when called upon to speak extemporaneously. Mastering these structures is akin to learning a musical instrument. The more you practice, the more naturally they will flow, freeing your mind to focus on the essence of your message and connect with your audience on a deeper level.
Benefits of using structure. So, we've explored the importance of structure in spontaneous speaking. Now let's dive into the benefits. Think of structure as a roadmap, not a rigid script. It empowers you, not restricts you. Just as a skilled jazz musician improvises within a song's structure, you can spontaneously generate compelling communication within a predetermined framework. First, structure dramatically improves your ability to maintain audience attention. Without a clear path, listeners wander, their focus drifting, much like a tour group without a guide. A well-defined structure, whether it's a simple problem-solution benefit approach or something more elaborate, provides a compelling narrative arc that keeps people engaged. David Labaree, a professor of education, puts it perfectly. There's something propelling a story, a line of interest that draws you in. A logical argument can be intellectually stimulating, but a story woven with structure is far more likely to capture and hold your audience's attention. Think of the transitions between ideas, the next and so, that smoothly guide the listener. These are the signposts of a well-structured journey, preventing your message from feeling like a jumbled mess. Second, structure significantly enhances memorability. We're notoriously bad at remembering isolated facts and figures, but our brains are wired for stories. Neurologist David Eagleman explains that stories are crafted to plug into what matters to the brain. They create memorable portholes that transport listeners emotionally, impacting their memory of your message profoundly. Think of Steve Jobs' iconic 1,000 Songs in Your Pocket, a concise, unforgettable narrative that defined the iPod. One study even found that 63% of students recalled stories from presentations, while only 5% recalled data points. The emotional connection forged through a well-structured narrative dramatically increases the stickiness of your message, ensuring your words resonate long after you've finished speaking. Furthermore, the easier it is to remember something, the more easily it can be relayed by others, turning your communication into a powerful, repeatable narrative that can even evolve into mythology through repeated sharing. Third, structure improves processing fluency. Our brains work more efficiently when presented with a structured narrative. This processing fluency, the ease with which information is encoded,
is significantly boosted when ideas flow logically from a beginning through a middle and to a satisfying end. Neurologist Joseph Pervisi compares this to driving a Porsche rather than taking a bike. A structured message speeds the delivery of ideas, making it much easier for your audience to grasp and retain your core points. This is particularly important in spontaneous situations where your audience may have limited attention and less time to process the information. Micah Carroll, editorial director of the For Dummies series, highlights this concept as wayfinding. The structured narrative aids your audience's journey through your message, similar to how a map helps someone navigate a new city. Finally, structure disciplines your thinking. Choosing a structure, whether it's problem-solution benefit, comparison, contrast, conclusion, or another framework, acts as a mental scaffolding. It guides your thought process, ensuring consistency and logical flow. It helps you decide not only what to say, but equally important, what not to say. In spontaneous situations, structure tackles the crucial how to say it problem, freeing up cognitive resources for focusing on the precise content. Having a roadmap gives you confidence, allowing you to improvise and adapt to listener feedback without losing your way. It's like having a mental safety net. You know where you're going, allowing you to explore creative tangents and connect more genuinely with your audience. The more you practice using these frameworks, the more natural and effective it will become. You'll not only be a better communicator, but a more focused and disciplined thinker. Sarah Zeidler, a marketing manager, experienced this firsthand when she had to improvise a presentation using only slides. By employing the what, so what, now what structure, she delivered a compelling message and earned praise for her unexpected composure and effectiveness. So remember, structure isn't about rigid control. It's about empowering yourself to communicate spontaneously with confidence and clarity.
Practical applications of structure. So we've seen the why behind structured communication. It reduces anxiety, boosts memorability, and enhances clarity. Now let's dive into the how. We'll explore several versatile structures you can use to think faster and talk smarter, and then we'll discuss how to practice and refine your skills in using them. The first structure we'll tackle is the remarkably simple yet incredibly powerful, the what, so what, now what. This framework guides your communication with a logical flow. First, you state your main point, what. Then, you explain its significance, its so what, why it matters. Finally, you conclude by indicating the next steps, the now what action should be taken or what the implications are. This isn't just some abstract concept, it's a practical tool you can immediately apply. Think about this section itself. I've laid out the key concepts, the what, explained their importance, the so what, and am now guiding you through their application, the now what. Beyond what, so what, now what, there are several other versatile structures. The prep structure, point, reason, example, point, involves making a point, providing its rationale, illustrating with an example, and returning to the main point to solidify it. Similarly, the problem-solution benefit structure is perfect for persuasive communication. First, highlight a problem or opportunity. Next, present your solution. And finally, spell out the benefits of adopting that solution. This framework is ubiquitous in marketing and sales, and it's equally effective in many other contexts. The comparison, contrast, conclusion structure allows you to analyze two things by highlighting their similarities and differences before drawing a conclusion. And finally, the STAR method, situation, task, action, result, is ideal for recounting experiences, providing clear context, and demonstrating effective problem-solving. Mastering these structures isn't about memorization, it's about internalizing their logic.
Practicing and refining your use of structure involves consistent effort. Start by consciously applying these frameworks in everyday conversations. Afterward, reflect on your performance. Did the structure help you organize your thoughts? Did it keep your audience engaged? What worked well and where could you improve? Seek feedback from trusted colleagues or friends. The more you practice and reflect, the more naturally and effectively you'll integrate these structures into your spontaneous communication. Consider using online tools or generative AI to create practice prompts. The goal is to reach a point where choosing and applying a structure becomes second nature, freeing up your cognitive resources to focus on your message and connecting authentically with your audience. Remember, the aim isn't robotic recitation, but rather to have a roadmap that allows for genuine, thoughtful improvisation. The more fluent you become with structure, the more confident and compelling you'll be when the spotlight's on you.
4 dimensions of focused communication. We've just explored the practical applications of structure in spontaneous speaking. Now, let's delve into the next crucial element: focused communication. Think of it as the heart of effective impromptu speaking, the ability to distill your message to its purest, most impactful form. This involves 4 key dimensions: precision, relevance, accessibility, and concision. First, precision is about knowing exactly what you want your audience to know, feel, and do. It's not just about conveying information, it's about shaping the entire experience. For instance, instead of simply stating facts about a product, consider the impact. What feeling do you want to evoke? Excitement? Trust? Urgency? And most importantly, what specific action do you want your audience to take after hearing you speak? Buy the product? Ask a question? Support your idea? A clear understanding of these 3 aspects, knowledge, feeling, and action, is essential for achieving precision in your communication. Next, relevance ensures your message resonates with your audience's needs and interests. Remember Jim Coach's golden rule of selling: never ask customers to do something that isn't in their best interest. This emphasizes a fundamental truth. Successful communication hinges on understanding your audience's perspective. Before you speak, ask yourself, what are their priorities? What problems are they facing? How can your message directly address those concerns or capitalize on their opportunities? By tailoring your message to their specific needs, you're making it deeply relevant and significantly increasing its impact. Then there's accessibility. Avoid jargon, complex sentence structures, and overwhelming amounts of detail. Think of Hans Rosling's concise TED Talk illustrating complex economic trends using only a handful of stones. Accessibility means making your message easily understandable to your audience regardless of their prior knowledge. Remember the grandmother test. Can your message be easily understood by someone with limited familiarity with your topic? This clarity increases engagement and ensures your message is received effectively. Consider using analogies, visuals, or breaking down complex concepts into smaller, more manageable chunks to make it more accessible. Finally, concision is about being brief and to the point. In today's fast-paced world, concise communication is essential. Just as Hilary Price uses minimal words in her comic strips, letting the visuals tell the story, so too should we strive to eliminate unnecessary words. Every word should carry weight, conveying meaning and moving the conversation forward. Consider how Google's mission statement, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful, packs a powerful message into just 12 words. This concise articulation perfectly captures the essence of their global endeavors. Before you speak, ask yourself, is every word truly necessary? Can I convey my message more effectively with fewer words?
Mastering these 4 dimensions of focused communication is key to delivering focused communication. By carefully crafting your message with these principles in mind, you'll not only improve your spontaneous speaking skills, but also enhance your overall impact and effectiveness as a communicator.
Small talk. We've just explored the 4 dimensions of focused communication, and now we're moving into a crucial area of everyday interaction: small talk. Many find this seemingly insignificant form of communication terrifying, but mastering it can significantly enhance your professional and personal life. The book presents a powerful framework for navigating these brief encounters, helping you transition smoothly from one conversation to the next. The first key to unlocking successful small talk is understanding the what, so what, now what structure. This isn't about reciting a prepared script. Instead, it's a flexible framework for organizing your thoughts in the moment. You start by making a point, what? Then you explain its significance, so what? And finally, you guide the conversation towards the next step or question, now what? This structure helps you to stay focused and avoids rambling, while also naturally prompting further engagement from your conversation partner. For example, imagine someone asks you about a conference you just attended. Using the what, so what, now what structure, you might say, "The keynote speaker this morning was incredibly insightful." What? "His ideas about leveraging AI in marketing are particularly relevant to our current challenges." So what? "Have you considered applying similar strategies in your work?" Now what? See how naturally this leads to a follow-up discussion? Beyond structure, the book emphasizes the first commandment of small talk. Make it about them, not you. While wanting to impress is natural, remember that most people are far more interested in discussing themselves and their experiences. By genuinely focusing on your conversation partner, you build rapport, project empathy, and create a more enjoyable interaction. Instead of dominating the conversation, actively listen and ask thoughtful follow-up questions such as, "What excited you about that?" or "Tell me more." This shows genuine interest and encourages further disclosure. Initiating conversations can also feel daunting. Instead of resorting to cliches like, "How are you?" opt for questions that spark curiosity and relate to your shared context. This demonstrates engagement from the get-go. For example, at a networking event, you might ask, "What do you think about the catering?" Or, "Have you seen this speaker before?" Exiting conversations gracefully is just as important. Rather than abruptly interrupting with an excuse, acknowledge the value of the interaction and express your appreciation. A simple, "I've really enjoyed your conversation, but I need to catch up with someone across the room. What's been your biggest takeaway from this event so far?" creates a positive closing while leaving your conversation partner feeling valued. By integrating the what, so what, now what structure, adhering to the first commandment of small talk, and practicing these initiation and exit strategies, you'll transform small talk from a dreaded chore into a powerful tool for building connections and making a positive impression. Remember, it's about genuine connection, not flawless performance. Embrace the imperfections and enjoy the flow of the conversation.
Toasts, tributes, and introductions. So we've just explored the art of navigating those sometimes tricky waters of small talk. Now let's move on to another common scenario where we often find ourselves needing to think fast and talk smart. Toasts, tributes, and introductions. These situations, whether at a wedding, a work event, or a memorial, often require us to speak off the cuff, and the pressure can be intense. But just like small talk, with the right approach, these moments can become opportunities for connection and meaningful communication, not sources of dread. The key, as the book emphasizes,
lies in structure. Instead of approaching these moments with a sense of impending doom, we can prepare a simple framework to guide our thoughts and words. The author suggests a powerful four-part structure he calls WHAT, which stands for why, how, anecdotes, and thank you. Let's break down each part. First, why are we here? This sets the stage. You're acknowledging the reason for the gathering, the celebration, the remembrance, the introduction. It's about establishing the context and purpose, allowing you to immediately connect with your audience and the emotion of the moment. Perhaps you'd say something like, "We're gathered here today to celebrate the incredible life of," or "Tonight, we honor the achievements of this remarkable team." Next, how are you connected? This is where you establish your relationship to the person or group being celebrated. This personal connection helps your audience understand your perspective and grounds your message in authenticity. Share a brief, relevant anecdote about your relationship, creating an immediate bond with the listeners. For example, you might share, "I've had the privilege of working alongside Sarah for 5 years," or "I've known John since we were kids." The third part, anecdotes or learnings, forms the core of your message. This is where you share relevant stories or insights that illuminate the qualities you're celebrating. Keep them concise, engaging, and most importantly, relevant to the occasion. Avoid rambling. Focus on a few impactful points. This is where a good narrative structure, one we explored earlier, will serve you well. A well-chosen anecdote, a brief but compelling story, can far outweigh a lengthy list of accolades. It's about capturing the essence of what makes this person or group special. Finally, thank you. This isn't more than just a polite closing. It's an opportunity to express your gratitude to the person or group being honored and to the audience for their attention. It's your chance to make sure everyone feels appreciated. You could end with a statement like, "Thank you, Sarah, for your dedication and inspiration," or "To the team, your hard work and commitment have been truly remarkable." Remember, these aren't rigid rules, but flexible guidelines. The beauty of this structure is its adaptability. It's a framework that allows you to be spontaneous and authentic while ensuring your message is clear, engaging, and memorable. With practice, you'll find yourself delivering toasts, tributes, and introductions that not only shine a light on others, but also showcase your own confidence and communication skills. And who knows, you might even start to enjoy these moments, transforming what was once a source of anxiety into a rewarding opportunity for connection.
Effective pitching. We've just explored the art of crafting memorable toasts, tributes, and introductions. Now, let's shift our focus to another crucial area of spontaneous speaking: effective pitching. This often involves more than just sharing information. It's about persuading others to see your perspective or take a specific action. A powerful framework for persuasive delivery is the problem-solution-benefit structure. This isn't just for formal presentations, it's a remarkably adaptable tool for spontaneous situations. First, you identify a problem or pain point, something your audience understands and perhaps even deeply feels. This could be anything from a workplace inefficiency to a societal challenge or even a missed opportunity. Think about it this way. If you're trying to convince your colleagues to adopt a new workflow, your problem is the inefficiency of the old one. The current system wastes time and resources. That's the problem. Next, you present your solution. This is where you offer the solution to the problem. If you're working on a software project and want more time, you might suggest a streamlined workflow, for example.
In our earlier workplace example, you might propose a new, faster software system. The solution must feel realistic and attainable. Otherwise, your audience will tune out. Remember to use clear, accessible language, avoiding jargon. Just as the ancient Greeks believed brevity is the soul of wit, so concision is key. Make sure you're speaking to the actual needs of your audience and avoiding needless complexity. This builds trust and keeps your listeners engaged. Finally, you showcase the benefits of adopting your proposed solution. This is where you highlight the positive outcomes that arise from following your plan. How will it improve things? For our software example, you'd explain how the new system saves the company time and money, improving overall productivity and reducing errors. Highlighting the benefits ties everything together, creating a compelling case that's hard to ignore. Make sure to articulate these benefits in positive terms, focusing on what your audience has to gain rather than what they stand to lose. Loss aversion is a powerful psychological principle. People are naturally more motivated to avoid losses than to acquire gains. Now let's look at some tips to make your persuasive delivery even more effective. Using analogies can be a great way to make complex ideas relatable. By comparing your problem to a familiar situation, you immediately create common ground with your audience. The same goes for illustrating the benefits. Show how your solution has worked for others in similar situations, and you'll increase buy-in. Furthermore, highlighting how your solution is consistent with existing practices, or what's called the foot in the door technique, can ease the acceptance process. People are more likely to embrace change if it feels like a natural progression rather than a disruptive leap. Finally, don't strive for robotic perfection. Remember, embracing imperfection and a dare-to-be-dull mindset can actually unlock greater creativity and authenticity. Allow yourself to stumble, and your audience will connect more deeply with your message. By demonstrating humility and willingness to collaborate, you enhance your credibility, potentially paving the way for more influence and success.
Rocking the Q&A. Having just explored the art of effective pitching, we now move on to another common spontaneous speaking challenge, the Q&A session. Many find these sessions daunting, fearing that any stumble will undermine their credibility. But let's reframe this. Think of Q&A not as a gauntlet, but as a dialogue, a chance to further connect with your audience and expand upon your ideas. The key to rocking the Q&A lies in a simple yet powerful framework, ADD. This stands for Answer, Detail, Describe. First, you concisely answer the question with a single, clear sentence. No preambles, no hedging, just a direct, declarative response. For example, if asked about your experience, you might simply say, "I have over 15 years of experience in this field." That's the answer part. Next comes the detail. Support your answer with a specific, concrete example. A few sentences providing key details will suffice. Don't get bogged down in excessive information. Remember, brevity is key. Continuing the example, you might add, "I've worked for 3 companies, name them, defining project scopes, leading cross-functional teams, and presenting results to executives." This provides the necessary evidence and context. Finally, describe the value or relevance. Why is your answer important to the questioner? Explicitly stating the benefits ensures your message lands effectively. In our example, you could finish by saying, "This means I can quickly identify challenges and offer solutions to the issues you and your team face." This ADD structure provides a roadmap for crafting compelling answers on the spot. It's simple, yet incredibly effective in keeping your responses focused, clear, and memorable. It also helps manage anxiety. You have a structure, a plan to fall back on. But mastering Q&A
isn't just about the ADD structure. It's about preparation and strategic thinking. While the questions themselves are unpredictable, the types of questions often aren't. Consider anticipating potential questions beforehand. What are the most likely topics your audience will want to explore? What are the most challenging questions you can envision? By preparing answers using the ADD structure, you'll be better equipped to respond confidently and effectively. Furthermore, consider timing the Q&A session strategically. Depending on the length and structure of your presentation, incorporating question breaks can help maintain audience engagement and provide natural transitions. But remember to set clear expectations at the outset. Specify how many questions you'll take and how much time you'll allocate, helping to manage the flow and keep the discussion on track. Don't be afraid to politely decline questions that stray too far from the topic at hand. And finally, ensure a powerful close. Don't end your Q&A session with a limp, "Thanks, I guess that's it." Instead, reiterate your key message or takeaway, leaving your audience with a lasting impression. Reinforce the value proposition, leaving them not just informed, but also inspired and motivated to take action. And if no questions come, be proactive. Have a back pocket question ready to spark the discussion and demonstrate your expertise. By mastering the ADD structure and adopting these strategies, you'll transform Q&A sessions from a source of anxiety into an opportunity to truly connect with your audience, showcase your expertise, and leave a lasting, positive impact. You'll be able to confidently navigate any unexpected question and turn it into a moment of connection and clarity.
Feedback that doesn't flop. So, we've just explored the art of conquering the Q&A, navigating those sometimes treacherous waters of impromptu questions. Now, let's shift our focus to another crucial area of spontaneous communication, delivering feedback that lands rather than flops. We'll be looking at a powerful structure to help us achieve this, the 4 I's, and exploring some practical tips for effective feedback delivery. Imagine this. You're in a meeting and a colleague presents a project. You have some thoughts, some observations about how it could be improved. How do you share those without causing defensiveness, shutting down collaboration, or creating unnecessary friction? The key is to approach feedback not as judgment, but as a collaborative opportunity. Instead of, "Here's what you did wrong," we aim for, "Let's work together to make this even better." That's where the 4 I's come in. This structure, a simple yet effective framework, guides us to deliver feedback with clarity and empathy. The 4 I's stand for information, impact, invitation, and implications. Let's break down each component. First, information. This stage is about presenting objective observations. Stick to the facts. What specifically happened? What did you observe? Avoid subjective opinions or emotional interpretations at this point. For instance, instead of, "Your presentation was boring," you might say, "Your presentation lacked clear transitions between sections." See the difference? Specific, factual, and avoids judgment. Next comes impact. Here, you articulate the effect of that observation on you. Use I statements. "I found it difficult to follow your presentation's logic," or "I felt confused by the lack of clear next steps." This personalizes the feedback, making it less accusatory and more about the shared experience. Now, the invitation. This is where the collaboration truly begins. Instead of telling someone what to do, you invite them to work with you to find solutions. Frame this as a question or a collaborative statement. "How can we work together to make the transitions clearer?" Or, "Let's brainstorm some ways to improve the flow of the presentation." This fosters a sense of partnership and shared responsibility. Now, finally, implications. Here you outline the potential consequences, both positive and negative, of adopting or not adopting the suggested changes. For example,
By clarifying the transitions, the audience will better understand your key message and remember it better. Or, if the lack of clear next steps isn't addressed, the project implementation might be delayed. The 4 I's structure helps make our feedback specific, less confrontational, and truly collaborative. It helps avoid the flop and ensures the feedback is received as a helpful contribution, not a criticism. Remember, the goal isn't to judge, but to improve, together. Practice using the 4 I's framework, and you'll find yourself delivering feedback that doesn't just land, but genuinely helps others grow and strengthens your relationships in the process.
The art of apology. We've just explored how to deliver feedback that resonates. And now, let's turn our attention to another crucial communication skill: apologizing effectively. Many of us find apologizing difficult, even terrifying. We might worry about appearing weak, admitting fault, or even facing further criticism. But a well-crafted apology can be a powerful tool for repairing relationships and demonstrating maturity. The book introduces a simple yet effective structure for apologies, the AAA method: acknowledge, appreciate, amends. Let's unpack each element. First, acknowledge. This involves clearly stating the specific action or words that cause the offense. No vague phrasing like, "I'm sorry if I offended you." Instead, own your mistake with a direct statement, "I apologize for interrupting you during the presentation." This directness shows sincerity and takes responsibility. Next, appreciate. This crucial step involves acknowledging the impact of your actions on the other person. Don't minimize their feelings. Instead, empathize with their experience. You might say, "I understand that my interrupting you was disrespectful and made you feel unheard." This demonstrates genuine understanding and shows you care about their emotional well-being. Finally, amends. This is about demonstrating your commitment to change and preventing future occurrences of the same offense. A simple, "I'll be more mindful of interrupting in the future," isn't enough. Be specific about the steps you'll take to avoid repeating the mistake. For instance, you could say, "In future meetings, I'll actively listen and only speak when it's my turn, and I will make a concerted effort to avoid interrupting." This showcases your proactive approach to rectifying the situation. The AAA method ensures a thorough, sincere apology addressing both the action and its emotional consequences. It's not merely saying sorry. It's about taking ownership, showing empathy, and demonstrating a commitment to future improvement. It's about actively repairing the damage caused, fostering trust, and strengthening your relationships. Remember, a sincere apology isn't a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to your character and your commitment to positive interactions. Mastering this skill can transform your relationships and empower you to navigate even the most challenging interpersonal situations with grace and understanding.